As I was coming up on stage, I wanted to share with you the thoughts that have been going through my head getting ready for this. The thoughts of, I hope this goes well. I hope they don't find I'm nervous. I hope I get my message across. I hope they enjoy the experience. Now with that, indulging those thoughts, let me take a moment and refocus. I'm authentically contributing and celebrating health, vitality, love, joy, and the experience of life. I'm fully committed to helping resolve issues and help people move forward to the life that they desire. With that, we can begin. Imagine that you're in your Father's arms with a sense of safety and security. The tropical breeze is blowing. The waves are ebbing and flowing. The sound of the surf is rhythmically keeping time of the afternoon. You're living in a tropical paradise called Hawaii. Living here is magical with great family memories. Many times you've been held in your Father's arms as he visits with friends in the surf. Suddenly, the waves rise, and a large wave hits your father, and you find yourself suddenly in a sea of blue-green water. Despite the shock of hitting the water, you find yourself thinking, wait, I know how to swim, so just swim. But I don't know how to breathe. How am I going to breathe? I usually hold on to the edge of a pool or onto the board. How am I going to breathe? I know, I'll swim towards the light. I was 4 years old. That was the first moment that I had the sense that we have a space between how we respond and how we act. For we have a moment to choose how we want to respond and take action, and there's a space right there. Now, the surf at Diamond Head can be powerful. The currents can rapidly go out to sea. The people on shore were telling my mom that I would be lost. I was swimming towards the light, and my father was reaching in the water multiple times trying to find me. And just as the sense of breath was getting desperate, his arms came around me and lifted me out of the water. And with that, I was able to breathe. Emotional moments create lasting memories and lasting beliefs. For many of us, at times, life just rolls along. We have the ability, things just kind of get in a flow and the zone gets going, and it's like the waves of the ocean and things just keep rolling along. I had a life like that. I graduated high school, I attended my dream college, and I had a wonderful time. Imagine you're in college, walking across campus, and off in the distance, you see a beautiful lady walking across campus. For some of you, imagine a man. And up ahead, she glowed like an angel on this planet. It took me 2 years to finally meet her. But when I did, my time in college was magical. We had a great time together, and yet, as college ended, she decided I wasn't the guy for her, and we split ways, not even speaking. A friend, 2 years later, introduced us. We were in different places and had a different perspective on each other. 28 years later, I'm still married to that lovely lady. Life can be magical. Now, timing in life can be important, for what's not possible in one moment can be possible in the next. Pursue your dreams and desires. Now, as I saw her walk across campus, time stopped. In emotionally charged moments, time can slow down. For many of us, there can be voices in our head, and those voices can sometimes get in the way, or they can be a signal to take a breath, to notice the moment, and take action, a choice point. In 1997, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had 2 surgeries, and I had a radioactive iodine treatment to get rid of the rest of the cancer cells. During that time, my wife was pregnant with my son. He was born the next summer. A year later, my best friend, my father, died. 2 years later, my mother died. She died of cancer, and it progressed very rapidly over a 6-week period of time. Needless to say, those life experiences were pretty intense. And the voices in my head were saying, how much more can I endure? Why me? Why do these kind of things always happen to me? Now, our brains are pretty amazing for when we ask those kind of questions, the brain answers. So if we ask horrible questions like, why me? Our brain comes up with an answer of, because you deserve it. What kind of questions do you ask yourselves? If you find yourself asking questions you really don't like the answer to, then pick a better question. Instead of why me, what can I learn from this? What can I teach from this? Instead of move forward and ask better questions. Questions that open an opportunity or provide a solution or an insight about a problem or in a solution. Now, I have two wonderful children, and as they were growing up, my wife was out of town, and I took them out on kind of a father, daughter, son adventure, and I took them to a really nice restaurant, the kind of place that when you walk in with children, people kind of cringe and kind of think, what are you doing? And I wasn't worried, because as a family, they always did great. We even had been at this particular restaurant, and they always did fantastic. And yet this time, they were with just Dad. And they decided it would be a little bit more fun and relaxed than it would be usually. And so they started to act up as children can do. And I kept trying to get them corrected and using my best parenting skills, trying to get them to do the right thing. And despite that, it didn't help. I got more and more frustrated and more intense. And so then the dinner was served. I got them to finish the meal. And I quickly got them to the car where we were now alone. And any of you in the audience that are parents know, at times we can be pretty unresourceful as parents, and at times can be pretty scary to our children. So with intensity, I said, you both disappoint me so much. The look in their eyes, I will never forget. The look in their eyes created a choice point. I thought about what I said. You disappoint me so much. Ouch. And then I paused and said, I love you both so much. How you acted disappointed me. I'm sorry. Next time we can do better. I love you both so much. We are not our actions. Choice points is choosing to protect those you love. It's choosing to take the moment and think about how you're going to respond. It's creating the space to breathe in the heart and respond from the heart. Now, I work as a hand surgeon, is my career, and one night on call, I was called to help a colleague. The colleague was taking care of a patient with a laceration and crush injury to their hand from a meat processing machine. And the hand looked like it would be salvageable. And in our hand, there's an arch, and from the arch, the vessels go out to the fingers. And so he was working on repairing these structures. And as I walked in, and things weren't going well for him, which is why I was called in. And so as I walked in the room, he was to the point of considering amputation of the guy's hand. He'd lost hope. And I said to him, have you looked at the foot? Everybody in the room turned and looked at me like I'd lost my mind. And I said, if we're lucky, the vein pattern on the top of the foot is going to match what we need in the hand. The match was near perfect. We prepped the foot, harvested the vein, and transferred it to the hand using an operating room microscope, reversing the flow so it would work. Choice points is looking for thinking outside the box. It's to create that moment and expand the choice and opportunity. It's reaching out for the help of a friend. It's accepting the help of a friend. It's expanding what's possible. Now, there's a great movie and book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. In the book, it's The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. In the book, there's a great scene where the main character and his mentor are up in the rafters, and down below, his fellow teammates are practicing in the gym their gymnastics moves. And the main character is able to hear the voices inside his teammates' heads. And they're the voice of self-doubt, the voice of judgment, the the voice of self-criticism, the kind of things that get in the way of performances. And he was surprised to learn that other people had those same kind of voices in his head that he had. Here's the thing. We all have the same two main fears: the fear that we're not enough, or the fear that we won't be loved. The voices are the opportunity to choose to push through that fear and perfect the motion in that moment. Now, the main character, with getting the voices silenced in his head, he was able to have a great performance. Many of us can get in the zone and work on that performance if we concentrate. Now, I love playing tennis, and so if you think about playing tennis, I don't get to do it as often as I used to, but I still love the game nonetheless. And as my tennis instructor would hit the ball to me, the strokes would get harder, and yet the ball seemed to slow down. You could see the number on the ball. You could almost see the markings, the rubber lines on the ball. And with that focus, the ball became easy to hit. You could hit the ball. Focus and awareness, presence, can make some of life things pretty easy. Now, if you think about golf players, as pros, amateurs, can spend hours working on their swing, trying to perfect their motion. And perfecting their motion, they're kind of creating muscle memory, which is basically working on the neurowiring and running it over and over again so that they're able to repeat the swing and have consistency. Now, if you think of Tiger Woods will go, you don't see him as often as you used to, but you still see him occasionally. And as he goes to focus on the ball, he's really focused. And then as he goes to take the swing, if he reaches back and there's a noise, he has the presence to stop mid-swing. Awareness of the moment avoids misswings. A lesser golfer would have continued on through the swing. Focus matters. Our goals matter. The outcome matters. What do we want to have happen, and commit all of our resources to it? The love of a friend, the love of our children, the voice, the love of our children, the help of a friend, the kind of things that matter. The person that's in front of you, that person who has that little child inside themselves, that we all have, that special part that's in you, that's in each of us. And we have the ability to focus on the moment and love that child. Now, if you think of an amoeba on a slide, an amoeba can just be an organism that's moving across, reacting to the environment. And when the environment changes, the amoeba responds. And so as the amoeba responds, it moves away from things. We can be like the amoeba and just kind of react to our environment and not be focused on what's happening. We can choose to live a life that has choice and purpose and direction. Now, if you live a life of choice, it kind of brings up Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. For once you live a life of choice, it's just that, a life of your choosing. So if you find you don't like what's happening, then make a new choice. Create something new. Oops. Now, during the course of my training, I took many courses in life support and trauma, and resuscitation and stabilization are a big part of those kind of courses. Now, when my daughter was born, the last year of my chief year, the last year of my residency, the obstetrician was focused on creating a wonderful experience for my wife and my newborn child. And so my daughter entered the world, and the obstetrician took my daughter and showed her to my wife, our newborn baby. I found myself feeling uncomfortable and noticed the nurse was feeling the same way. There was just one problem in this beautiful experience. My daughter wasn't breathing, she wasn't crying, and she was turning blue. Now, I was the father and husband, not the doctor. So I looked at the nurse, and she nodded at me, and she turned and took my daughter, and with her help, I resuscitated my daughter. She spent two 2 days in the neonatal intensive care unit, but she ended up okay. So focus on the moment and the present. Being present in the moment. Life is a matter of perspective. We have the ability to think about, for I was losing my mother, I was the help me. She was happy, a life well lived, surrounded by those we loved. There's a richness in life, a choice of how we experience the moment, a choice of how we see the moment, a choice of how we respond in the moment, a choice to the meaning of the moment, a choice of how we want the story to unfold. Life is a collection of choice points. Some are big, who we marry, what career we have, how we treat those we love. Some are small, refusing to get mad when someone cuts you off in traffic. Life is a collection of choice points that create the story of our lives. We can choose to live in our heads unconsciously, responding to the events that are happening around us, being battered in the ocean, drowning passively as a victim. Or we can choose to live in our hearts and create the moments and notice the times where it can be magical and make the choice points and create a magical life. The choice is yours. My point is simple. Breathe, create space, create the choice points. Notice the points and the moments to create a magical journey. May the story of your life, the collection of your choice points, be magical. Thank you.